Hello! We are back with another recent release test pilot, baby. What a weird way to start that. Whoa. Okay, I'm excited. Yay, I love doing these. These are so fun to me. It is such a fun way to reflect on how I've been using the decks I've brought into my collection that are more recent releases. And it's such an interesting thing to see too of what am I bringing in, like how much new versus not new have I been bringing in, because I don't think I realized before how often I bring in things that aren't like new releases. They're just new to me. So interesting. But let's get into it. I've got, counting, 6 decks here. 6 decks here to show. 5 of them are, I don't know how to say this, like I had a good time with 5 of them, and one of them I'm feeling kind of meh on. But the point of the point of anything I do, I'm always honest about my reviews and excitement over things. But with these, of going through kind of, will I ever, I always start these being like, you know what's going on here, let's get into it. I need to explain, please. Okay, recent release test pilots. What these are about is I take decks that I have brought into my collection that have come out within the last few months and that I have used a little bit and kind of have started to build a relationship with, started to be like, okay, I see where you come into my collection, I see what's going on here, and I talk about it. I talk about that experience. If I have pairings, I talk about those. Usually I do. I usually pair my decks, not always, so occasionally there might be something, like today there is one that, for whatever reason, I just don't really pair. But anyways, let's get it. We're gonna start with the one meh, because I think that would be crazy pants McGee to end on that. Like, who wants to do that? No. And this is not, okay, and also these are entirely my opinions. Take it for the huge grain of salt that it is, of a 27-year-old spewing on the internet. So let's get into it. Okay, first we're gonna talk about is the Old Style Tarot. This came out from US Games January 31st of this year, and I think it's a beautiful deck. I posted a whole walkthrough of it. I really had a wonderful time going through this deck. I think, unfortunately, what it comes down to is I think I just have other decks that feel very similar to this style going on that, I don't know, every time I went to use it, it felt like I was needing to push myself to use this deck over other ones I have and already have a relationship with. And so, and also to say, this is pretty much an RWS clone, which I like those decks, but I think it's one of those things where the only reason I feel like I would get a direct clone per se, which, you know, that whole definition is, I feel like, so subjective, but how I see a clone is if it does something really different artistically, or just style, or just has something fun, like a fun theme that is new. And I think this just reminds me of it feels like the baby of a lot of different combinations of decks I have and really like. Like, I'm thinking Pagan Otherworlds and like Victorian Romantic. I feel like for some reason the Hush Tarot gets slotted in the same space in my mind. So I don't think this is a bad deck or that it doesn't do anything special. I think it's just this particular genre, style, that's the right word, style of art is just something that I can only have so much of, I feel like, because I don't go towards it a ton. And so when it came down to it, I think this felt similar to other things that I have and really like already, that it doesn't feel unique enough to make me really want to give it a spot, for lack of better words. And also, this came in at the same time as another, so I got this deck for review, and it came in with another deck that I just completely fell head over heels for, still really love, that is also, like, it's not an RWS clone per se, more a clone remix, I guess, that kind of stole the show. And so I also think that's what was going on with this a bit, is that it also feels a bit of a similar vibe as this one I'm going to show you, that I have shown in one of these test pilots already because I just used it a ton when I got it. But it just has a direct relation in my brain. But I can't deny that I think part of that is getting the two decks at the same time. Does that happen to anyone else, that like when you get certain decks close together, it just immediately puts them in competition when maybe if they were acquired like 6 months apart, it wouldn't happen? I don't know. There's no way for me to tell, but anyway, the deck that I feel like, aside from those other ones I said, but the direct comparison in my brain that I want to use over this one every single time is the Erenberg Tarot. This is just so good. It's so good, and it's another one where it is very RWS, but it gives this like zoomed in effect. But you see how like the coloring is a bit similar. Something about the vibe is it's just similar to me. And I think it could just be that I was looking at both at the same time, but this is just the one that always wins out for me. So I thought I would just show that as like a, I don't know what my point was. I just did what I did. So yes. So again, not to say this is bad, I don't think this is one that's going to stick around for me. I think if you are looking for a very RWS style deck that has this like nice vintage feel, more so in a medieval way, then I think you would really like this. But when it comes down to it, like when it comes to like that medieval vintage feel, I've got a lot of decks that like I love for that. And so I just don't know if this one's gonna find its spot. So will we not, what is that word that came out of my mouth? Nothing, correct. We're not gonna look at pairings for this. I might have shown some in that walkthrough, I don't remember, but I really didn't, probably that's what I've been thinking in my testing it out, because I don't know, I wasn't into it. But this was the one that I was like, no, this instead. You know what I mean? That was my point. All right. So let's roll right into the other one that I won't be showing pairings for. Everything else I've got pairings for. Slay. This one, I don't know. I've just been doing single card draws, or it's not, okay, this is not a new deck. So if this is when you want to see pairings for, either you have seen them already, or you can, I'm sure, easily find them. I don't have an easy time pairing these, so that's another thing. So I'm actually curious if you have any thoughts on this. So it's not a new deck, it's just a new format of the deck, and that is the Wild Unknown Pocket Archetypes. So this is the Wild Unknown Archetypes that we all know and love, but in its smaller, cutesy little packaging. And I love the Wild Unknown decks, the whole line, the whole collection. I have them all. Yes, I have them all, I think. And so I love the archetypes, but do I even need to say this? I think we're all thinking like, yeah, the cards are so big. They're so hard to shuffle. What everyone says. So I was so excited to see this coming out in a little tin, and it's a little round tin. Are you kidding? So cute factor, A++. Yes. Delighted to find out it comes with a little mini book. the writing is small. So if you do not have good eyesight, I think it is worth, if you have this deck already, maybe keep it around so you can keep the big book. I'm doing that for now because I just love the books, I really do, but from what I can tell, there's nothing different about this. It's just a smaller size. But it is nice if I wanted to take this somewhere with me. I've got this book, but so far I've been using the big book, just, I don't know. Because I've just been kind of casually pulling cards at home with this, but it is such a nice size. It's so much more manageable. I still don't feel like this is a riffle shuffle deck, but I don't go into buying a circular deck thinking I'm gonna riffle shuffle it, you know what I mean? Like, if it's not rectangular, my expectation is low on that front, you know what I mean? So it's fine. But the hand over hand shuffle, I am only minimally dropping cards, and that's just on me. I drop cards every time, so that's not the deck's fault. Where with the big size, cards were always everywhere. I feel like I barely shuffled it. This version is just completely making me fall in love with the deck again. This is one I've been really liking, again, as a single card draw. I like having it just kind of on my desk. It feels like very specific, like getting an archetype is such a specific type work, so sometimes it'll be a single card draw to get, when I feel like, I've been finding lately that I've been saying like, you know that feeling when, but then realize that maybe it's not so universal? Anyway, this could be, I don't know, but I get this feeling a lot where I'm like, there's something I need to work through. Something has happened that I haven't registered yet that I need to think about. Or there's just something that's coming up in my brain in the background that I'm like, I sense we gotta look into something. I think this deck is perfect for that. And what I do is pull a single card and just let it sit. I let it simmer. I read the book. I don't put too much pressure on it. Because eventually, whatever that feeling is or thing I need to register, it registers, and then I'm like, oh, I see how this fits into that. And then sometimes I do a further reading on that, sometimes I don't, but we don't have to spend too much time on this, because again, this is this deck's been out forever. This is just its new little packaging that I love. So I just want to talk about knots so quickly too. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, as they say. I don't like that saying. We tried that out and I didn't like it. Never again. You will never hear that from me again. Do I want to go in chronological order? I started out by saying when things came out. Is that important? I don't think it is. I'm filming this after work. I apologize. I'm not in a, I don't know, you're always in a mood. When are people, I know when, I get what the phrase like I'm in a mood means. I can logic that, but I don't get it. But I guess one might say I'm in a mood. Okay, what do we want to start with? Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna start with oldest in my collection to youngest. Anyway, the Rooted Woman Oracle. I'm having a bit of a feeling that I talked about this. I don't think I have. I think I've just talked about it a lot elsewhere. Because when I was on Tara and Kelsey's Cozy Capsule collection, which I have dropped the ball on because I've just been in a space, you know what I mean? But I really want to pick it up in June, so I'm really excited to see what their theme is. But when I was on as a guest, this was the deck I picked, and it was like brand new then, a few months ago. And gosh, did I love this so much. So this is I would say, a pretty, feminine leaning deck, as the title suggests. Very green Celtic energy, which I love. And very, it feels to me like real crone energy. There is more in there than that, but that's kind of the main feeling that shows through to me. Just this kind of like ancient, I don't know, grandma's advice kind of feel, and it's so awesome. There's a lot of story and folklore woven into here, and so I really loved this. This was a daily draw deck for me, for sure. I absolutely love it for that. I get that card a lot. To me, this is, if you are someone who likes and has, or likes and maybe just hasn't been able to get it yet, the Wisdom of the Kaliak Oracle, I feel a similar vibe from this. So if you like that deck or you've been wanting that deck, I think this is one to check out. Because again, it really feels like that strong grandma's advice, just comforting in a, I'm gonna comfort you, but you need to do this. You know what I mean? Like that kind of grandma. And I just think it's the best. And again, it's like this green kind of feeling. It was the perfect emergence kind of deck. That's really when I go back to it now, it's because I'm looking for that emerging out of some kind of darkness. Oh my gosh. That's so edgelord of me to say. You know what I mean though? So, because when I was on that video I've been talking about, it was March, I'm pretty sure, so it was very much, at least where I live, coming out of winter, going into spring, and that kind of energy feels like where this fits. Loved it, amazing, still love it, and I got pairings for this one, so let's check those out. Okay, pairings for the Rooted Woman Oracle. So I've got two here to show you, and the first one we'll start off with is the tarot deck that I paired this with throughout the month of March when I used this in my capsule collection, and that is the Forest Lore Tarot. This was just such a good pairing. I really, really enjoyed this. How these went together, I think they made a beautiful pairing. I love how the Forest Lore really brings in that foresty, earthy plant energy to this oracle that, of course, really has that as well. But to me, the oracle leans much more into a magical sense of nature, a folkloric sense of nature, where this tarot is really looking at the plants and animals that we're directly viewing in nature. And so that's kind of how I saw this combo, as a meeting of the two, and I really, really liked it for that. And I just think aesthetically it looks beautiful, which was a little unexpected. Don't think I thought these would visually pair as well as at least I think they really do, but I think they look beautiful together. And they really have given such good readings. And even the guidebooks, I think, really lean into that, where, like I was saying, this oracle feels very much kind of like that true grandmother's advice, where the tarot really gets into some very technical information about the natural world and what's showcased on the cards. And so reading those two guidebooks at the same time was really interesting, because it was like we got this sort of magical, maybe, I don't know if, maybe a more classical sense of like spiritual verbiage and feel from this guidebook, and then we went over here and it gave you that, like, you know, classic tarot meaning, but then went into like, here's a bunch of stuff about the robin, here's a bunch of info about these trees, let's tie it back, you know, very information focused to that tarot card. I think it was just it was interesting to bring those two worlds together And I think they go really well. So that is the Forest Lore Tarot. And the second pairing I really like with this is one I kind of discovered after that month. And for this one, we're just going to do a side-by-side, I think. Because I like doing that layout to show pairings, but realistically, I really just pull one card. When I'm doing a daily draw, it's 1 in 1. But the second deck I have to show is the Stolen Child Tarot. Which I also think goes visually. I don't know, maybe as much, but my idea behind this pairing here was that once I knew this deck gave me real crone energy feelings, I thought it might be interesting to pair it with a tarot deck that does really the opposite, but in the same realm, still in that forest nature feel. And so immediately I went to the Stolen Child Tarot, because this tarot portrays really a bunch of children animorphs. But because of that, because all of the characters in here are so young, it gives, to me, a very, it gives a young angle to it. And so this reading here felt like it was kind of two sides of the coin. I'm not saying that right, but you know, both ends of the spectrum there of getting this crone energy and then this a bit more childlike energy. And I've really been liking pairing these two to kind of be like, where do we meet in the middle? Because there's the wise choice and there's the fun choice. Where's the middle ground? That's kind of the vibe I get from this pairing, and so I really like it. I think they go really amazing together, and the Stolen Child feels a bit more, where this deck felt like it really could fit that vibe of winter to spring. This feels a bit more of the transition of spring to summer, and helps bring this oracle to me, there for me as well. So I've done this pairing, or used this pairing a few times now, but it's one where it's kind of like, I'm really feeling like I'm getting to the season where this is gonna be so good, and I'm so excited about it. So yeah, that is my second pairing for the Rooted Woman Oracle, and that is the Stolen Child Tarot. So, let's get into the next deck. Okay, next up, actually, I just realized is the other oracle I used as part of that capsule collection. And it is the Dirt Gems Oracle. Now this is another one that is not new. It got so dark in here, I think it's gonna rain. That's so exciting. I just realized that my lighting is being crazy bananas. And I was like, oh gosh, it got dark out. Let's see if this helps. Maybe. Okay, another deck that is not new. It was indie first, but came out a few months ago, mass markets, and I love it. I love this deck. I'm so happy that I have another opportunity to use it, because I did have the indie version just at a point in my life where it's like, I wasn't really into plant energy, which, like, considering the amount I'm into it now, feels crazy to think that there was a time as that, but alas, there was. And so, yeah, I really like this version from Running Press. Running Press printed this. They do a fantastic job on their quality and just everything. It's beautiful. It feels like indie quality to me, honestly. I love it so much. Matte gold edges, like, that's what we want to see. We want to see the matte edges. At least I do. So yes. So, but it's been years since I had the indie. And so this really felt like a new experience to me, because I just didn't remember it. And wow, 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 wow. This deck is so good if you are a plant lover. You need this. You just need this. The guidebook is incredible, really incredible. So to say though, unless you are someone who like really knows a lot about all of these plants, it's not an intuitive reader. It is a guidebook reader. But as I feel like I say a million times over, I love a guidebook deck. I really do. And I think even if like I knew these plants really well, I would still want to read that guidebook because it is brilliant and amazing. And this pairs so surprisingly well with so much. With this art style is not really my typical thing, and so I was a bit unsure of how I would use it, but this really knocks it out of the park. And I will say, now I need to think before I say something so blasphemous. You know, I think, as of right now, I think this is my favorite plant deck. Whenever I want, like, a plant oracle where I'm gonna pull a card and get a plant, this is the one. This is the one every time. So I love it as a daily draw. So when I say a daily draw as well, I think I should also, I don't know, in case that's a weird term. To me, my daily draw is, I'm having my sit, I am pulling an oracle card, a tarot card, and I am sitting with that guidebook. I am reading that guidebook. It is not a quick thing. My routine revolves around doing that, and I hate when I can't. So I think that's what makes me love what I'm saying is a guidebook deck so much, because for that morning sit, it's rare that I will want to choose a deck that doesn't have a guidebook for me to get into. So yes, so that to say is like if I was doing a reading for someone else or wanted to do like a bigger reading for myself, probably this wouldn't be something I get into again unless I was just really familiar with all the plants, which, like, yes and no, you know what I mean? Like, depend on what I got. But yeah, so this is a really great daily draw. Like, sit with that card, think about that energy. I love it. I love it. And as I said, so many pairings. We'll look at a few now, but the way it is proven to be almost endless really has astonished me in terms of pairing ability. So yeah, Dirt Gems Oracle, a great one. Let's look at the pairings. Yay! All right, so yet again, we are going to start out with the pairing from that March capsule collection, and that was the Story Medicine Animal Woman Tarot. You know what? And we're gonna just do a side by side. Why not? I should show things how I pull them, you know? But this, oh my gosh, visually, so good. Like, you cannot tell me that this art doesn't pair perfectly together. I loved the whole feel of this deck and really loved it as the capsule collection for March. I can't remember specifically the wording around what the theme was, but it was pretty much around like emergence. And I think this really fit the bill. Seasonally, I think this more is a summer vibe. So I haven't used this pairing since because I think seasonally it wasn't quite right, but I can't wait to have these out again. I have them on my shelf again after I did some reorganizing yesterday. Ugh. Every time this comes up, I have to pause. It's my favorite card. I think it's so beautiful. But yes, so these are back on my shelf because we shifted into that warm weather so quickly. Well, I guess it's almost June, so maybe that's fair. But it's really starting to feel more like summer around here, so I know this vibe is coming sooner rather than later, and I just think these pair so beautifully. And I really like the combo here of having the Dirt Gems where I really get into the Oracle book, or guidebook, read that whole thing, and then I've got a tarot here where we've got the words on the card, and they are very thought-provoking phrases. But I liked the balance there. It felt good in the morning, you know what I mean? So, yeah, really love this pairing. Can't wait to be using it again. That is the Story Medicine Animal Woman Tarot. And this, again, we've got two pairings to show. I think that seems to be my sweet spot, is like 2 solid pairings to get to know a deck. So the other tarot is another kind of summery feeling one, but it is the Tarot de St. Croix. And this came to mind for sure because of the colors. Oh my gosh, so good. Don't these just look so nice together? I love how the colors play off of each other. I love that we have the black background and the black background title kind of mirrored there. And both of these they really feel like summertime decks to me. Like that real dog days of summer. The sun is shining bright. Things just feel orange and yellow. That's what this pairing reminds me of. But it also gives it this really interesting, and this is definitely coming from the Tarot de St. Croix, I see that as a very, like, spiritual work deck. That's just kind of the relation I've made to it. And so I think there is definitely also that vibe as well with the Story Medicine Tarot, but I think because beforehand I've never really used the Tarot de St. Croix as a daily draw deck. It's been kind of heavily a, like, spiritual exploration, I suppose, that it brings this oracle to that place as well. And I do not have better words for that. So sorry. But yeah, this came about definitely as an aesthetic pairing, but I've also really liked how they read together. I mean, come on. That's so good! It's so good. So, that is the Tarot de St. Croix, and that's the other pairing I have to show. So, let's get into the next deck. Alright, next up, definitely another daily morning draw deck for me, and that is the Journey Tarot. This was one on Kickstarter. I didn't back it on Kickstarter, but I did order it so quickly after seeing people get their Kickstarters and use it and see what it was all about. First of all, how gorgeous is this box? Ah, so pretty. Just such a beautifully constructed printed deck. It's on a linen finish. So initially, I didn't back this on Kickstarter because I wasn't sure about the artwork, which now I really like it. But this kind of sketchy, thinner line work kind of thing. I don't know. I can be picky on that, I guess. But I really do love the artwork now, but I have to say, I think what makes this deck a total game changer for me is the fact that the guidebook entries for every card is written as a poem. So good. That it just, oh, how beautiful is that though? Just an absolutely stunning way to do a deck. I can't get over it. Like, now I'm like, I want everything to have poems. And so I've really, really, really liked using this as a morning draw kind of deck because it's the sort of thing of like you read that poem and, at least for me, I read it and maybe instead of, you know, getting into a more extensive guidebook entry, I have to think about it a little bit. I have to think of like, okay, what does this poem mean? What is it saying to me? How do I think it relates to the card it is attached to? What I know about that card already? And then as I'm going throughout my day, I find that I'll remember little bits and pieces of that poem. And so it's a cool reflective tool in that way of, okay, now I'm seeing how this is kind of coming up in my day. I see what the vibe is here. And I just think, oh, it's so beautiful. And again, just what a cool perspective and idea. I'm sure there could be other decks that do that. If you know of one, please let me know, because I'm obsessed with this. I know that maybe it's the Future Ancestors Tarot has that bigger guidebook that maybe has poems. I don't know if it's for every card. That's like the fact that that's kind of what you get. Amazing. I love that. I know the Tarot of the She has it for the minors. Obsessed with that too. I actually repurchased that deck because I remembered that. I was like, wait a second. So smart. But yeah, I love the fantasy feel of this. A lot of cool pairing options. To be honest, though, I'm going to show two pairings for this. One is the pairing that I pretty much exclusively have been using it with, and another is one that just popped in my head right now that we're just going to play. We're going to try it. But other than that, I've pretty much exclusively been using it with the Seasons of the Witch decks. With the timing I got this one, it was the Beltane. So I think it looks really good with Beltane. We'll play a little bit with the pairings to see if it works with the new Litha one. But yeah, I can't say enough good things about that deck. I think it's incredible, amazing. Just love that it gives you something to think about. Kind of like what I always say with the Blooming Lovelies. How it's just a simple sentence you get on that card, but it's written in such a way of you kind of have to be like, huh, what does that mean? But not in such a difficult way where you don't come around to something. Like, I always do. And I love this deck for that. I think it's so unique and amazing. It just feels like, again, it has such a unique spot with all my other stuff. So yeah, let's look at some pairings for that. Okay, let's get into the main, pretty much, well, this is the only pairing I've been using so far with the Journey Tarot, and that is the Seasons of the Witch Beltane Oracle. So this was a pairing I used a ton throughout the Beltane season. And now I should say that, because I know people work with these decks kind of all different ways, how I work with the Seasons of the Witch decks is building up to the holidays, so around a month, maybe to 6 weeks or so before, I switch over to whatever the new one is, or, you know, we don't have all of them out quite yet. I am plugging in my camera as usual. Anyway, you know, if there's a gap, I start using it. Whatever. So yeah, so this deck came in around when I was making that switch over, and I really like how these look together. I think both of them have a somewhat similar kind of thin line work plus watercolor look to them. You know what I mean? And I really liked how these work together. And so that's why I said I wanted to bring out the latest Seasons of the Witch, Litha, because that one is done under the new artist, this one's done under the old artist, so I'm curious. I'm curious to see if it still kind of works. But I really, really loved this pairing. The Seasons of the Witch decks, like at this point, because I've been collecting them all, it feels so familiar, the writing feels familiar. that they feel like real kind of comfort decks to me, like almost like a bit of a safety zone, because it's like I know what to expect here. Even when a new one comes out, I'm still like, but I'm gonna know that energy. I'm gonna know the feeling it's gonna give me. And so it was kind of nice having that alongside a poem where at least I personally I had to think about it a little bit harder. So it was nice to pull one of each to have kind of this as the background and this as the thing to relate it to. Really, I just really like this pairing. It's so good. So that is Seasons of the Witch Beltane. The other two decks I have here are, let's just see what happens. So I kind of want to see it with the Seasons of the Witch Litha. With the new artist, and what are we gonna think? Does it still work? I don't think it's bad. I don't think it like completely doesn't work. I think the art style of the Beltane, I think to me visually is better suited, but I think this would work. And I think that's the beauty of the Seasons of the Witch oracles, is I've never paired it with something and been like, absolutely not. Both artists, it has this way of being like, yeah. It's either like 10 out of 10 or like 8 out of 10. Which is not bad. I think this still does something. I would use this. So that's Seasons of the Witch Litha. Now, the pairing that just kind of popped into my head while I was recording that last segment is the Odyssean Tarot. I kind of feel like, I don't know. Is this gonna, how do we feel about the double border? Sometimes I don't like a double border for whatever reason. I think these could read together so beautifully though. I want to try a reading. I don't know if I'm crazy about the visuals. I think because this has that like stark white border, I almost feel like to me it wants to be with something that is borderless. You know what I mean? Because I like a border, but I think in my reading, I've got like a 1 border deck limit. Ooh, switching to colored borders though, I think that is better. The majors have the white borders. I don't think I liked the white border with the white border, but this is that feels better to me. I think they could read so well though. So I do want to try reading with this. So this was just a little aside. I just wanted to see. This is not usually any sort of like playing with pairs, but I said it out loud in the video, so I couldn't not show, right? So those are my pairings for the Journey Tarot. Let's get into the last deck I have to share today. Okay. Last but not least, and I'm sure, as you can tell by the title, I've mentioned a giveaway. It's because I have ended up with a second copy of this deck. Basically because I forgot I was getting sent this for review and got too excited and bought it. So now I've got 2, which is okay because this is like my most excited. Nope, I'm already not getting that sentence out right. I am probably the most excited about this deck. I have been the most excited about this deck in particular. And so it felt like such a happy coincidence that I kind of made that whoopsie with this deck. Because right now, if somebody asked me if you could share a deck with someone, any deck, like what would it be? It would be this one. I just think whether or not you think you're gonna like the topic, it's so good. It's so good. And that is the Bee Tarot. Look at this cutie little bag. Oh my gosh. Obsessed. So this is new out from Llewellyn, maybe a month ago, 2 months. I don't know. I've been using it so much though that it feels like I've had it so long. But I don't think it has been that long. I think maybe it's been a month. Look at the backs. So it's on that new linen type finish they've been doing. And as it suggests, it's a bee-themed tarot, which I do love bees. I like bees. I forgot, but I didn't initially think I wanted this. And this is why I forgot about the review thing, because I didn't think I asked for this, because I remember being like, I don't know, would I want a bee deck? Which is interesting, because now that I'm in kind of gardening season, I'm like, yeah, you do. What do you mean? Silly. But yes, okay, so bee-themed tarot. But just the way, what I like about this is that it's not like every card is just bees on it. We have the way people, humans, animals, all the above, interact with bees. And I think that's what makes this feel so magical to me. Also, I love this artist. This is Nadia Turner. I think she's amazing. I'm so happy that I have another deck that has her artwork. And I wish I could put it into better words, because I've been showing this a bunch, but before I wanted to do one of these videos because I was like, I know I've got some stuff that's newer that I could definitely talk about, but I want to talk about this. I really want to talk about this deck. And so I've been trying to think of like, how do I put it into words? Like, why do I like this so much? And I'm having a hard time. It's one of those, it's like, I just really like it. I think the guidebook is written by Christopher Hughes, who, amazing. I think every time I pull a card, it's one of those things where it is giving me it gives me the meaning of the card that I'm expecting in a good way, you know what I mean? Where it's like, it gives that sense of familiarity where it's not coming so out of left field that I'm like, wait a second, that's not the Seven of Swords. Like, it gives us that base, but then it feels like this thing of like, right at the end, he gives this, like, it's like one sentence where it's like, huh, that's an interesting way to see that. That's an interesting way to look at that. And so it undeniably is expanding the way I see many cards. Again, the artwork is beautiful. I love, okay, I'm not usually one to say things of this sort, but I just feel like, I just like the energy of it. It just feels warm and welcoming. I know, and Dawn Michelle has gotten this deck, and she has said she's been using it for creative work, but community-driven creative work. I'm hoping that's okay. Gosh, I need to, like, differentiate between people's member things and, like, their public videos, but I'm sure that anyway. I think that's fine to share anywhere. Because I'm sharing that because I thought that was such a cool idea. I was like, yes, 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 yes. That's the vibe this deck gives off. It feels like just community driven, and so I've been loving using this in the morning. Especially I find I'm drawn to use it on days I go into work because my whole job is completely community driven. Yeah, I provide a service to a specific community, and I spend my days being like, what do I think they're like? And I just think this is awesome for that. It's been pairing so beautifully just with every oracle I try it with. And again, it's just got that really good garden nature feel to it, to the point where, like, I think I might have to do a Lisa style this or that soon between this and the Tarot of the Witch's Garden, because I don't know. I need to look at them side by side. I really do. That would be a fun video. Maybe I should do that, put them back in order, and oh my gosh. Sneak peek coming soon. I'm gonna do that. That sounds fun. Yeah, okay, that's a good idea. Noted. Yes, so before I started talking, I should have thought about the parameters for the giveaway. Maybe let's show some pairings first. I have pairings for this, 1000%. So I'm gonna show some pairings, and then after that we will talk about that giveaway, how you can enter, and time frame and such, because I need to think about that first. So yeah, the B Tarot, let's look at some pairings. Okay, the B Tarot. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, I've got, again, 2 pairings to show, and we've got a repeater, Seasons of the Witch Beltane. Pretty much all of Beltane season, I used the B Tarot and the Journey Tarot. And I loved it. Look how beautiful these look together. Again, I really loved how these read. We've got all that, the bee and the honey imagery in this oracle. This was like a no-brainer. I mean, look at the bees on the back. As soon as I saw this tarot, I was like, oh, Seasons of the Witch Beltane, obviously. And it did not disappoint. They work so beautifully together. I love them so much. So much. So we won't, since we've already looked at this oracle, we won't spend too much time on that. But the other deck I really have been enjoying with the B Tarot is the Southern Botanic Oracle, which I'm so excited about because I love these decks, the Southern Gothic and Southern Botanic, but I have a hard time pairing them for whatever reason. But I think these look so good together. I was so excited to try it and discover that that is the case. Don't you think? And so it's a cool thing, though, of like, okay, we've got this plant deck, and then the B Tarot, like, and I feel like it's where the natural worlds meet. Looking at the plants, but then looking at the creatures that are so essential to most of these plants' survival in a way, their pollination. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And then I just think visually they pair so nicely together. I've been really enjoying this, and since I've now moved to the Seasons of the Witch Litha deck, which I do think pairs nicely with this as well. I've been using those, but honestly, I'm really excited to lean heavily into these together because, again, this is not a deck I feel like I have a ton of great pairings for. If you have this oracle and have pairings you love, please tell me. Same with the Southern Gothic, because I struggle with them. I don't know what it is, but now that I've got this that I know is a, at least in my opinion, nice pairing, I'm like, let's go, baby. Every day. Look at that tomato card. Ah, I just love it. It feels so summery and just outside. Pokeweed. I've got so much pokeweed growing this year. Gosh, it's like seed spread or something. Crazy. Lemon balm. Ah, I could look at this all day. Truly. Truly, truly. It's so beautiful. But yeah, that's the other pairing I've found and really like with the B Tarot, and that is the Southern Botanic Oracle. So without further ado, let's get into the giveaway. I'm gonna keep it simple, because you know what? We're all busy here, right? We all got things to do. I don't need sentences from you. Unless you want to give them. I love reading comments, not to say that, but in terms of like entering this, it's fine. So I'm gonna post this on Wednesday the 29th. So I will have this run for a week. So let's say from now when it's posted through June 5th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to enter the giveaway, just comment down below some bee emojis. I think that'd be fun and fine. A bunch of bees in the comments, that'd be so fun. Yeah, so make sure you are subscribed to my channel in order to enter as well. I think that makes sense. And yeah, I will randomly select after the deadline for whoever is going to be the winner of their very own copy of the Bee Tarot. I'm telling you, this is my deck of the summer. I love it so much. Can't get over it. I think it's great. So yeah, I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased I have one to give away because I love sharing the things that I love. It's so exciting. So yeah, again, from now through 11:59 p.m. June 5th, you can enter just in the comments below. Make sure you're subscribed. Comments down below, just put some bee emojis. That's fine. Get creative if you want, but just a bee emoji works for me. But other than that, that's all I have for you all today. This was so fun. I feel so excited. Yay. I love these. I hope you like them too. That being said though, I hope you're having a great day so far, and I'll see you again very soon.